Hey, so you're thinking about moving to Kansas City and you want to live on a lake or have a lake in your backyard, maybe a beach? Well, hey, stick around. In this video, we're going to be talking all about lake life in Kansas City, north of the river. And if you stick around to the end, we're going to talk about 5 lakes right out of the gate, 5 of the main ones. If you stick around to the end, we're going to throw in a couple bonus at lakes, and we're going to get started right now. Hey, if this is your first time tuning into the channel, you want to know everything there is to know about living in Kansas City and lake life like we're going to talk about right now, then click subscribe, hit that little bell for notifications so you can be the first to know the current market right here in the KC metro area. My name's Zach Morton, my business partner right here, Max Jones, the Mojo Real Estate team and I have been helping people move to Kansas City for over 20 years. We absolutely love it, but you don't have to take our words for it. See what our clients have to say with over 600 5-star Google reviews from folks just like you. So whether you're moving in 9 or 90 days, you just pick up that phone, give us a call, shoot us a text, drop us an email, even schedule a Zoom. All of our contact information is in the description below. We're all over the Google, all over the internet. You can find us, it's really easy. So we can chat with you about your goals and help you with that seamless transition into your new neighborhood. So with this video, I want to start just hopping right onto a Google map real quick, just to show you where these lakes are in the Northland that we're about to talk about. And then we'll dive in and kind of just rap about them. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. So here I have pulled up Kansas City. I've kind of looking at the north end, because in this video we're going to be talking about lakes in the Northland, or north of the river in Kansas City. So there's a Kansas City, Kansas, a Kansas City, Missouri, and that's kind of that dividing line. But then this Missouri River that runs across divides the north from the south, and it also defines that kind of northwest edge over here, boundary of Missouri. So everything north of the river is Missouri, is on the Kansas City, Missouri side. So all this, and that's what we're gonna be talking about today. So let me clear this up, and then we'll zoom in a little bit. We'll take a look at where these lakes are north of the river, and then we'll get to wrapping. All right, so I'm gonna keep Smithville in there because we're talking about that. So here is the river, and the lakes we're gonna be talking about. We're in Houston Lake, lands right there. We've got Riss Lake, and this is how we'll talk about them too. We'll kind of go south to north. We got Lake Waukomis, we have Weatherby Lake, and then we got a big bad boy up here called Smithville Lake, and then we're also going to go north of that just a little bit to give you the 2 bonus lakes after that. So that's where they are on the map. They're all relatively close to Kansas City City Center. And without any further ado, let's kick it off with Houston Lake, shall we?
Yeah, so the lake life, we actually are, I wouldn't say experts, well, I guess maybe we are. We're experts.
We're experts in lake.
We specialize in lake properties up north, especially because Zach lives on a lake, has lived there his whole life.
Yeah.
And so this is exciting to be talking about lakes. When you mentioned Houston Lake, I didn't even really, it didn't register with me.
Well, that's what I want to touch on there, because it's not something that I recommend to people. It's very cheap. There's very affordable houses out there, but that is a lake that's called a lake, but over the years, I'm sure it was really cool at one time when it first started. It's the furthest south. I'm guessing it's probably the oldest, because as the city grows, it usually grows north or away from the city. It was probably one of the first lakes, and I think at one time they've had an HOA. I have sold several properties out there, but I always try to steer my clients away from it because I don't consider it a lake. You can see, obviously, Max doesn't consider it a lake. It's more of a silt pond at this point.
Yeah.
And the people that I know that have lived out there and whatever their whole lives, it used to be fun and deep water and all that, but with a lot of lakes in the KC metro area, they get silt comes in the creeks and the rivers and deposit, and over time those lakes fill in, and if you're not constantly going out there and dredging the soil, or they call it silt, dredging the silt out of the bottom of the lake, then it just fills in. And to do that, you have to have money, so that's why a lot of these lakes will have HOAs and different fees and assessments to take care of that. But Houston has fallen behind. When you look at it, it's more, I would say, more of a frog pond at this point.
Yeah, living on a lake is a luxury.
Yes.
And it takes a little money to keep that up, and they haven't kept theirs up.
They haven't kept it up. Really windy roads, no street lights. It's really narrow roads. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, sorry, Houston Lake, but it's kind of like a practice starter lake, and that's where the builders learned their lessons. And I still have clients that want to get out there because they want, it's very affordable. It's the lowest price point of lakes north of the river. But I don't recommend it because I don't think it's going to appreciate very well. I think it could be hard to sell in the future. So if you're talking to me, Max, we're not going to recommend that you park your cash in Houston Lake.
Yeah, you know, that's a great point about appreciation. One of the things we saw back in 2009 during the Great Economic Recession, or the Great Recession, the lake properties really held their value a lot better than the other properties. So we found that golf course properties and lake properties really anchored the valuations more than your typical subdivision. So that's one of the important reasons of being on a lake.
Now you will pay a little more, you pay a premium to have that, but that's just how it is. That's how I have always been in real estate. You know, it's location, location, location. You hear it all the time. And that's really what it is. It's something unique that property has or sits on that is not, you know, 90% of the cookie cutter homes out there. So even when I went to Oregon, I lived out there for a few years with my family. I wasn't on a lake, but I had something with a mountain view because I wanted something when I was ready to come back that I knew was rare or rarer than the surrounding properties, and it held its property value. It actually increased very, very rapidly. So I always kind of look for something like that, something unique, and lakes definitely offer that, plus a fantastic lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, the next lake on our list.
Yeah, would be Riss as we're moving north. So Houston's really small. I'm not even sure the acreage on that. Riss is coming in at 127 acres, which is a pretty nice sized lake.
Yeah, it's really nice, and the subdivision Riss Lake has really held its value over the years. It's an older subdivision, but I think there still is some new construction going on in there.
Yeah, they're still building. It's one of the newer ones, so I think they started maybe in the 90s, probably late 80s, early 90s. But it was more of a planned community development lake. Like they went in, built this, and just designed it from scratch. You get a lot of nice parks, you've got tennis courts, swimming pool, several swimming pools. Roads are really well laid out, but what's interesting on Riss Lake is nobody's really on the water.
Yeah, I think that's one of the unique things about the lake, that lake in comparison to the others in the Northland that we will be talking about, is they wanted it to seem like you were in Canada when you were out on the water. So they don't have docks with houses that are backing right up to the water, which is cool, but this gives you a completely different feel when you're out fishing. You feel like, unless you're over by the dam, you can see some cars going by, but if you're out there, it seems like you're in Canada, totally isolated, and it's a great experience being on the water.
Just surrounded by forest. Yeah, what they have at the dam is they have one large community dock, and everybody can have a slip there. That keeps docks off the shoreline, obviously, and keeps that all fresh and natural. So that's something unique there. But what they do have that's nice is they've got a bunch of newer, 90s to 2020 houses that are big. I think interest rates are doing pretty. Usually when interest rates are low and they're building, the houses get really big. So there's some very sizable houses out there, a lot of square feet. In fact, one of our vlogs, you can check it out, is on Parkville. Riss Lake lies in Parkville. And we go into Riss Lake and look at some houses. We're driving down the road and doing some drive-bys. So if Riss Lake is kind of sounding like maybe kind of your kind of spot, check out that Parkville vlog.
Yeah, absolutely. Riss Lake is probably one of the premier, unless you actually want to be on the water, it's one of the premier lake communities in the Northland. And it has price ranges. I would say you can't really get in there under 400.
Yeah.
But up to 1.5 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say well over $1 million. There's some really cool at the end of the cul-de-sacs that kind of go down towards the lake. There's some kind of almost, I think some of it's on maybe an acre or so, because you'll go back into the woods a ways, but just real private lots at the end of those cul-de-sacs. And in the fall, you can see the lake through the trees, but yeah, there's some massive, sweet properties out there.
There's actually a restriction, and you can't cut down any of the trees. So you will have a lake property that backs to the lake, but there'll be a couple hundred yards of trees, and you're prevented from removing any of those because they want to keep that feel.
Yeah, so a super cool spot. It's in Park Hill Schools, which is A-rated school district, and it's got great highway access. And as you saw on the map, they're all fairly close to downtown Kansas City.
Yeah, you know what made me think, while these are in Kansas City, Missouri, none of them are actually in Kansas City, Missouri. So Parkville with Riss Lake, and then the other ones all have their own towns.
Yeah, so that's what we'll get to. Yeah, so you're going to be out of the e-tax.
Right.
That we often talk about by
Yeah.
living in these places.
Yeah, if you've watched any of our videos, you have heard us mention the earnings tax, which is 1% on your gross income if you have a Kansas City, Missouri address, if you live or work. And so that's a big deal for a lot of folks. They don't want to pay that, and there's some ways around it, and one of those is living in one of these lake communities.
Yep, absolutely. And you know, in the Midwest, we don't have oceans, we don't have mountains, but we do have lakes. So it's a really cool thing to be able to, you know, and our lake season starts, you know, in April. You can be out on your boat all the way into November, December. I think I started on my lake where I put a gas fire pit on my pontoon boat. And out there, I think last year in December, we were still out there floating around with a fire pit. It was pretty amazing. Made a lot of lake lovers jealous, you know, looking out at us. But
Yeah,
cool.
You are a wild man when it comes
a
to
little bit
stuff like
wild
that.
But anyway, so Riss Lake, I think we've touched enough on that one.
Yep.
Definitely check out that vlog. We're in there on that. And then Lake Waukomis, that's the next one as we move north. This is a 95-acre lake, so a little bit smaller than Riss, but this is going to be a private lake community as well. This is one where you can live right on the water. You can have a dock in your backyard with a 22-foot pontoon boat is the limit there, and a small fishing boat. So 2 boats, private dock, it's all right there in your backyard. There's a first tier and a second tier at Lake Waukomis, and there's about 425 homes out there.
Okay, what's the horsepower restriction?
So this is more of a trolling around lake, so it's 10 horsepower on a pontoon and 7.5 on a john boat.
Yeah, and that limitation is primarily to prevent the erosion that we were talking about, right? From the banks.
I think they just wanted to keep it kind of a low horsepower. They didn't want people skiing out there, because that's the next thing you get to is you either low horsepower or you got motorboats and you're skiing and jet skis and wave runners, and then so they just wanted to keep it more efficient. A lot of these lakes started out as just recreational, like you buy a lake lot and you build a little cabin on it, you know, and then over the time, as the city grew towards it, that's how Lake Waukomis was. It was just fishing cabins. It used to be a dirt road, you know, gravel road around it.
Was it in the 60s that it was?
Yeah, 64, I believe.
Okay.
By the way, we have a vlog on Lake Waukomis, a full vlog tour as well. So if this one sounds like it's checking a lot of the boxes, then definitely check that one out. I happen to live at Lake Waukomis, so I know a lot about that one, and we go into a lot of detail there. But it's a great community. You can have golf carts. A lot of the residents are zipping around the streets on golf carts. I'll just name off, there's a community garden. So if you have a green thumb and you like to grow your own garden right behind the dam, there's a lot of land that they fenced off to keep the animals out. You can get a plot and grow your own veggies and fruits and all that. There's all kinds of clubs with a lot of these lakes and a lot of these communities. You're going to have clubs you can get involved with. Always parties going on. Lake Waukomis has a huge 4th of July celebration that lasts almost a week. Fireworks off the dam, and people are out in their boats tied up, you know, rafted together, 20 boats wide. You know, your kids are running down the boats. This is going to be the same with Weatherby too, and jumping off other people's boats. So you can imagine it's an amazing place to be, especially when you just walk out your back door, a few steps down to your boat, and you're off.
Yeah, relax your home.
Yeah,
is
it's the motto at Lake Waukomis.
Yeah, it's like a vacation when you go home every night.
Yeah, and we both have bigger boats that we have to keep in storage to take to big lakes, which is a pain in the ass. It is so nice just to walk out and your boat's just ready to go. So
yeah,
it's all fun, but
yeah. When I think of Lake Waukomis, they are kind of smaller homes.
Yes.
So that is relative to Riss Lake. They're smaller and older. That some of those older homes are getting torn down and new, bigger homes are being put back in, but square footage wise, probably half the size of the homes in Riss Lake.
Yeah, you're totally right. 3,500 square feet for kind of the top end on the big ones, and then 1,500 to 2,000 kind of on the small side. With second tier properties, meaning they're across the street from the lake, are usually typically a little bit smaller too, but they're also cheaper. And right now we're seeing people get in anywhere from like 300 to 400 second tier, and then you're 400, you know, all the way up. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit $1 million this year for first tier. But
several 800s.
Several 800s, yeah, have happened lately. So just a matter of time. But that's kind of the vibe. Smaller, older homes, and with that comes more maintenance and all that stuff. But that is the vibe at Anything else we should talk about with Lake Waukomis?
Well, one of the things I think of that we haven't mentioned yet is there's only 2 ways in and 2 ways out.
Yeah.
And when he says first tier, second tier, that's pretty much all there is. So in Wrist Lake and some of these others, there's more than just first tier and second tier. There might be third tier where you're completely off the lake and it's still part of that neighborhood. But here you're either on water where your house backs, almost the front of your house is the side that faces the lake and your garage side is the road. And then on the other side of the street is second tier. But everybody has access to the lake with a dock, right?
Yeah, everybody has the right to have a dock. So some people, there is a fee that comes, it's not much. I think it's $50 a year, $25 a year, somewhere in there to have a dock, but you do have to buy it, build it, put it there and maintain it. Some people don't care, so some people don't have. But if you're looking for that, that's important. Even if the house you're buying doesn't come with it, because it was a little old lady that never went down there, everybody has a right to put a dock there.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's one thing that I'd say, if we were to do a pros and cons of Lake Waukomis, one of the negatives is, it's kind of, to get back in there, you have to wind through, and if you don't live by one of the 2 entrances, then it can be, you're going on some windy roads all the way around the lake. But there's a flip side of that coin, just like every pro and con, is there's not a lot of traffic. So, if somebody's driving by your house, it's a neighbor more than likely.
Yeah, it's not a shortcut to anywhere. So nobody in their right mind would cut through Lake Waukomis as a shortcut. No streetlights either. So that's some complaints that we hear when people, once you're in there, everybody's like, wow, like when I have friends over that haven't been there, like these roads are windy, but after everybody moves in and lives there for a month or so, they never mention it again. You just kind of get used to it. And it makes great for, when we hop in the golf carts, when we're not out in the boat cruising around, it just makes for a nice windy, chill golf cart ride. Oh, we do have disc golf course out there that we just got installed this year. So 18-hole disc golf course, 2 parks, baseball fields, tennis courts, pickleball, a stage, a couple pavilions you can rent.
And a week-long 4th of July party that is amazing.
Bash and concerts and deck crawls and all that kind of fun stuff. Lake Waukomis is one of that place where everybody kind of knows everybody, 425 houses. So there really is a strong community feel, and we get together to do a lot of stuff, and everybody loves everybody, and it's just that kind of chill place where, I could probably just walk into almost anybody, like knock on the door and be like, come on in, and we'd be having a beer or whatever, hop on the boat. So it's that kind of place.
Right on. Well, enough of Lake Waukomis.
Let's get out of here. Weatherby is next on our list, and this is a cool lake too. This is 300 acres, so almost 3 times the size of Waukomis, which we just talked about. Way more houses. I think there's, I can't remember.
Over 1,000, yeah.
So a lot bigger. The setback limits, Lake Waukomis has a 5-foot setback limits on the side, which means your neighbor is can be 10 feet away. Weatherby has a 10-foot setback limit, so that means your neighbor could be 20 feet away, but I tell you what, it get a lot more elbow room at Weatherby. Larger lots, a course with larger lots and a bigger lake. The prices out there are exceptionally higher than Lake Waukomis as well, but it's a cool lake, man. They've got beaches. I think they have 6 or 8 parks.
The whole sailboat point is pretty awesome.
There's actually a castle out there that was built by, I don't want to go into the history of who built it, some lawyer, but they actually imported the stone from someplace in Europe. But this is an impressive, it's got turrets and I don't know, it just actually went to auction about 3 years ago. And I got to tour it with everybody else. They were selling all the stuff off, and they're pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, the taxes and maintenance would put me out of the
and I think it was I can't remember what it sold for, if it was like $2 million or $4 million, but it was pretty, for what it was, I'm like, wow, heck of a price.
Yeah, couldn't replace it for what it sold for.
Absolutely not. Probably could even import the stone for that. But anyway, there is a lot of cool houses. Weatherby, price points at Weatherby can go several million at this point,
Yeah, there's people buying $500,000-$600,000 older home just for the lot so they can knock it down and build their house. So, even a lakefront lot might be $500,000, $600,000, $700,000.
Yeah. And there's like sailing clubs out there. You can have a higher horsepower, so you can probably get, it's not full-size ski boats. I think they can maybe have 25 horse on their pontoons. They can have much bigger pontoons too, so they're up to like 26, I think. I know they've got, some of them are double deckers, so you can have some really cool big boats out, big pontoon boats out there that you can fit a lot of people on, and little runabout boats with the steering wheel. You can have multiple docks. So Weatherby, not everybody gets a dock. There's, in fact, if you buy a first tier property that comes with it and it's right there on your lot, then that's yours. But if you're second tier, that goes into kind of a lottery system, and there's a wait list for docks, so that can be a whole nother issue. They do have a set of public docks on Sea Point that you can rent.
Sea Point, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's where the beach is. They have a really nice beach, and Sea Point's a nice little, they've got a little pavilion on the end. It's a point that kind of juts out into the middle of the lake with the big flag on it, and just like an iconic chill spot, a good spot to meet and hang out. What else can we say about that? I mean, it's
the fishing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's bass tournaments, and I mean, I have several friends that live out there, and will send me pictures of the big bass they're pulling out of there and making me jealous. So it is, it's an awesome place to fish. So is Lake Waukomis.
Yeah,
and Wrist Lake for that matter.
Yeah, they're all pretty good fishing. And this was, I think, Weatherby, the guy's last name was Weatherby that developed it and started buying land, but I think somehow he was connected to a pilot, or there was a lot of pilots that ended up there, so it kind of was the pilot's haven as it was being constructed. So I think it's still the fact that even though we're fairly close to the airport here, that they've got a no-fly zone over Weatherby. It's been built in, so fairly quiet, no airport traffic. Just kind of throw that in there. There is it may be moved up a little bit this year, but last year's a $2,000 transfer fee. Usually a buyer has to pay to welcome to the club.
Yeah, so, love that.
Yeah, love that. There's some HOA stuff, but it's a cool spot, man. It is a really cool lake, a lot of elbow room.
One of the things that just occurred to me is all of these lakes that we've been talking about so far are all in the Park Hill School District.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic school district. So the schools, for family and you got kids, you can't go wrong with any of these communities as far as that goes.
Yeah, and Weatherby Lake is its own city. So is Lake Waukomis. So both of these are going to pop you out of that e-tax that Max talked about earlier. But when you're searching for property on Weatherby, you have to type in Weatherby the city. If you put in a subdivision of Weatherby, it's not going to pop up because there's several different Weatherby subdivisions within the Weatherby Lake city. So that's just something that will kind of help you if you're looking for lake property. Or just give us a call. We'll set you up with that so you don't have to mess with it.
Right, yeah, there's the Highlands with more estate-sized lots, depending on what you're looking for.
When Max was talking about second tier, third tier, fourth tier, whatever, Weatherby Lake is one of those that you can be far, far from the lake, but still be within the city. So lots of options, and you can get $400,000 or $500,000 third, fourth tier. You can be back. There's some deals like that, but the closer you get to the lake, the really premier properties that it's just cool. There's no cookie cutter houses like Wrist Lake. I would say is more cookie cutter until you get into the the million plus. There's some custom stuff, but pretty much everything at Weatherby first tier was custom, whether it was older or been torn down and new. And it's an amazing place to take a boat ride and just look at every house is completely different.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Well, I think of Weatherby, I think of more white collar, and Lake Waukomis is more blue collar just in general.
Yeah.
Kind of if you're, depending on what vibe you're looking for, and the price ranges are reflective of that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Wrist Lake's a mix of all those.
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
Cool.
Is that enough on Weatherby?
I think so. Yeah, let's head out to the big water.
The Smithville. All right. So Smithville Lake. Let's say we just went 127 acres, 95 acres, 300 acres. Now we're at Smithville Lake, which is just over 7,000 acres. Great spot. This is a Corps of Engineers lake, so you cannot live on this. But it is a place where you can drop a big boat, you can go skiing, get the wave runners out, you can rent a boat. They've got a couple marinas up there, so it's kind of the recreation lake.
7,000 acres. Yeah, that's where we take our boat. We can't get on Weatherby or anything with we have a little fishing boat and take it up to Smithville Lake. There's boat launches everywhere around the lake. There's campgrounds around the lake. No houses on it.
No houses, nope. There is lots of camping, so that's something that's fun to do. There's a paved walking trail. We've done a vlog on Smithville too, so if this kind of starts checking boxes, make sure you check out that vlog, because I'm at the lake, I'm walking around the lake, we're in neighborhoods around the lake, and right downtown Smithville, so definitely check that out. But yeah, there is a paved walking trail. We used to go camping up there when my kids were little, and then take them down with their bikes and their training wheels, and we'd be by the campsite, and they'd be running up and down, on the lake side. So it's cool. You get to see the lake, get to see the kids, have a little fire going, have the boat out in the water, pull it right up to shore. Just a great spot for the outdoor activities. There's also a couple disc golf courses up there. You can ride horses. There's an equestrian trail and a parking lot up there, so you can drop your trailer and your horse off.
Tons of marinas, and so what you'll do is you'll rent a slip for your boat up there, and if you live in Smithville, you'll have more than likely an acreage, 2, 3, 4, 5 acres, and a house with an outbuilding somewhere around Smithville Lake. And then when you go to the lake, you'll go to your boat slip, depending on where you're renting it. And yeah, there you go. Get the map and zoom in on that
a little bit and kind of show you guys. There's a couple bridges there, so all the skiing's kind of done. Let's see,
down by the dam.
Bridge. Yeah, you can't jet ski past the bridge. And that's because they just dammed up a bunch of creeks. So what you get is a lot of trees and stuff as you get back in there. So it's probably dangerous more than anything. There is a beach back here that you have to boat to. That's kind of the Party Cove. And then there is a couple beaches. I can't tell by this map, but there's one over here on this side, and then there's one right down here by the dam that are swim beaches. They're not like lifeguards on them, but they're all sand and roped off, so the kids can safely swim there if that's something that you're into. Yeah, so all the tubing and jet skiing. There's a couple golf courses up here that are right alongside the lake too, which is nice.
Phenomenal golf courses.
There's just something for everybody, and then the neighborhoods are real close. And then 169 highway, that's a pretty fast moving highway to get you in and out of town really quick. So it's a super convenient, easy lake to get to.
Yeah, and then the town of Smithville is right in the kind of the foot of the dam. Because actually, if the dam were to burst, it would probably flood out a lot of the town.
One of the reasons they built this lake was to flood control for the town of Smithville, because it kept getting nailed every, when the 50-year rains came or whatever. So they built that for flood control. So this lake level can go up and down a little bit. I don't really notice it. I go up there several times a year, and it may drop 3 or 4 feet, but other than that, it's always usable.
Yeah, but in the town of Smithville, there's tons of bars and restaurants and places to go. It's a happening little town.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. Yeah, and in our vlog, we are down there, and in fact, you can park downtown, and that paved trail that I said goes. I mean, it might be 100 miles of paved trail. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but it goes all over. But from downtown, you can take this trail up. It's like a 4-foot wide concrete, and then it just starts going around the lake. Throughout this, you'll see some, like right in here, this is all some more parkland. There'll be mountain bike trails that'll be marked, so you can be riding down the paved trails. You can drop into the woods and do some flowy stuff. You can hunt up here. This is the core land, so there is designated hunting areas. I've hunted up there for deer. You can hunt squirrels, all that stuff. So it's
turkey.
I've never hunted turkey yet. I've never hunted turkey.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, shoot. Bucket list.
Bucket list.
Yeah, so, Smithville Lake is phenomenal. We're really lucky to have it so close to where we live.
Yeah, so it's fun, it's close, and the marinas, there's little restaurants, and it's just a nice, close getaway for anybody that lives in the Northland. Easy to get to, not a lot of traffic, and always a good time. Is there anything we want to add about that? I think that's pretty... There's lots of nice neighborhoods around it. Smithville does put you into a different school district, which is still highly rated. It's not quite as highly rated as the other ones with the Park Hill School District, but not far off at all. And then you're also close to Liberty. So really, you got great schools all around Smithville, no matter which district you look at. The neighborhoods around there, you're gonna get a little bit more bang for your buck because you're further north, further away from the city, and that's kind of how that works, but you're also not living on the lake. But being close, there's 2 neighborhoods that are really close to it. Harbor View, and I can't remember the other one, but right up in here, actually right here, These two neighborhoods, and in our vlog, we actually walked through these.
Greyhawks
down here, I think. Or maybe you're right. Maybe this is Greyhawk.
Yeah, there's Greyhawk up there by the golf course.
There's some nice stuff back in here too that's being built now. But yeah, these are really nice communities that are close to the boat launch, close to the park, and close to the golf course. You can literally, and they have some, if you're older and you don't want to own a house, they have some kind of duplex, fourplex things back in here that you can rent, and you can actually get your golf cart from your house to the golf course if you so desire. So
yeah, it's a fantastic lake. But we probably ought to do some of the honorable mentions.
Yeah, so we've got 2 honorable mentions we want to touch on. I'll pull them up on the map. This was our kind of bonus material you get for sticking around to the end.
Bonus.
And this is, we've got, let's see which one to do first, Lake Viking?
Sure, yeah, we're up there.
All right, so as you can see, Wrist Lake, or Smithville Lake, 15, 25 minutes north. Well, we're a little bit further north to get all the way up here.
Yeah, you go past Kearney and through Cameron, and up there is just north of Cameron a little ways.
And there we have Lake Viking.
Yeah, Lake Viking is not huge, but
630 acres, so it's going to be bigger than any of the first 3 or 4 that we talked about.
Yeah. Yep, and they do allow jet skis and bigger boats, so you can ski and everything up there. But you can have, it's kind of the best of both worlds, of kind of a Smithville and Weatherby combo. So you can have the bigger boats, and you can actually live on the lakefront and have your own dock.
And apparently there's an airport here.
Yeah, I think so. That's
crazy. I know there's some big money out there. I have not spent much time at Lake Viking. There's an airstrip. Cool. Well, if you're a pilot and you like the lake life and have a hobby plane, that might be a sweet little spot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in Kansas City, they will, have their house in Kansas City, and then they'll have a lake house down by Warsaw and the Lake of the Ozarks. Warsaw is like the very closest you can get. So everybody will be heading to the lake for the weekend. That's like a 2.5, 3 hour drive. Whereas Lake Viking is like 45 minutes just north. So it's a really great place to have a lake house. I have a couple friends that have one up there, and they love it. And I hope they invite me as much as possible.
If they are watching this video, Max.
Yeah, if you're watching,
Max would like an invite to your lake house. And if anybody watching this video buys a lake house up there, we would also like to come hang out with you. So
yeah, we're not only your realtors, but we like to hang out and that sort of thing too.
All right, so that's Lake Viking, and there are some people. I've had a lot of people that have moved from there, like down to Lake Waukomis just in the past couple of years, or Weatherby, because they want to be closer to the city, and they were using it as a lake house, and now they just combine everything and come to a local house where they can live and play. So we'll see some of that too. But let's see, what do we got? Our next one is
Lake Arrowhead, which is down by just north of Kearney, down south a little bit. There it is.
There she is.
Lake Arrowhead is, if you're searching Kansas City and searching lakes, more than likely Lake Arrowhead will pop up. And it kind of circles back to the beginning of our video when we were talking about
Houston
Lake. As being an area that we don't really recommend. It's kind of a trailer park lake.
Well, you can see there's lots of tiers here.
Yeah.
It goes way back, so you can be way back here. And it's kind of a Wild West out there.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know, we don't need to go into the details on it, but it has HOA. Yeah, if you look at the pictures of the Google Earth view, you can see
the neighborhood.
It's a lot of trailers is what it is. There are a few homes that are decent on the lake, but I wouldn't think it's the best place to invest your money as far as lake houses go.
And it's only 22 acres, is what our research showed, so it's not real big. I'd say 100's about as small as you want to go for something to have your boat out on.
Yeah. A couple other honorable mentions are in and around Lake Waukomis, not too far away, is North Lakes. I don't think you can have anything more than a paddle boat on the end.
No, probably not. I mean, there are lots of other neighborhoods that do have little like pond style stuff that you can put floaty rafts, and and stuff. And those are scattered all throughout. Yes, there's no North Lakes, the Coves. There's some stuff up in Liberty. So if you just want something to look at, that's also one of those things that's going to give you that bonus feature that most people don't have. So if you're not really a lake person, but you don't mind watching the geese land and swim around and frolic and birds play, I mean, it's still, there's a lot of spots like that too.
Yeah, back into green space or back into a lake view with a pond, that has a bolstering effect of your, for your property value also. Anything that's unique, a lot that, doesn't have, isn't backing right to another house, in rows of housing, then that can be if that's all you're looking for, then we can help you find that too.
Yeah. Well, I think we did a pretty good job of lakes, man. They're probably wore out listening to us talk, so. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. We really appreciate you. Please remember to like and subscribe, and remember, you got a couple friends in the business, and we'll see you on the next one.
We'll see ya.